Okay, so welcome to the virtual college exploration for all North and South Carolina students, sponsored by the Carolinas Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admission Officers and StriveScan. We're so excited to have some of you students with us this evening and your families, so thank you so much for joining us. A few little housekeeping announcements before we get started. If you have questions today, please use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions for the presenters. Put those questions in there at any point in time, and they will either answer them during the presentation or at the end. Your camera and microphone to all of our listeners are off, so the panelists cannot see and they cannot hear you. And this is just one of many different sessions happening, so be sure to check out the full schedule on the CACRAO.org website. It's also being recorded, so you'll be able to go back within about a week on that same website, CACRAO.org, and actually check it out there. So I'm going to turn it over at this point to our presenters and allow you to hear an extremely interesting presentation. So Ryan, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. I guess I'll kick it over to Susie to introduce herself, and the three of us will introduce ourselves, and then we'll get into our presentation.
All right, thanks Ryan, and thank you everyone for joining our panel on Division I, II, and III. My name is Susie Swartz. I am the Senior Assistant Director of Freshman Admission at Western Carolina University, and I'm also our Admissions Athletics Liaison.
Hey guys, my name is Rachel Moore, and I am an admissions representative with the University of Mount Olive.
Hi all, I'm Ryan Kilway. I'm an admissions counselor at William Peace University, and I'm also the rep with all of the recruited student athletes. All right, and I'm gonna start this off, and Susie, it'll be you going first. So give me 1 second.
All right, so we're going to just start off sharing some general information about our individual schools and then jump into some Division I, II, and III information. But we are Western Carolina University. We are the westernmost University of North Carolina system school located in the beautiful Cullowhee Valley, and we are right where the Blue Ridge and Smoky Mountains meet. So you can see that in that photo there. We are about an hour west of Asheville, and that is our main campus there in the photo. So we're a medium-sized institution for your public university with about 12,000 students, and about 4,500 of those students live right on campus. And then there are some who live right on the edge of campus in off-campus apartments that are still within walking distance of everything that you see there in that photo. You can walk that length of campus and give or take about 15 minutes, and you may see half a dozen people that you know and half a dozen people you don't know along the way on that walk. So it's really the best of both worlds in terms of having all the resources of being a public university, a medium-sized public university, and still being a close-knit campus community. And we've got a lot of really cool opportunities for students that I'll talk about in just a second. Just a little bit more there, you can see under the student body section, there's a little bit more of a breakdown, male-female students, and then clubs and organizations. We offer over 170 different clubs and organizations, and you can get involved in everything from athletics to intramural and club sports as well, if you're not interested in D1 specifically. And then you can also start your own club or organization with 10 or more students and a faculty or staff advisor. So we offer anything and everything in that respect as far as ways to get involved on campus. As far as our academics, we offer 120 different majors across 6 different colleges. We have our College of Business, College of Engineering, our College of Education. We were actually founded as a teachers college back in in 1889, so that is our oldest program. College of Health and Human Sciences, College of Arts and Sciences, so a lot of those general, more liberal arts type studies, and Fine and Performing Arts, if you're interested in any of those programs. And as I mentioned, we're a medium-sized institution, so we've got a 17-to-1 student-to-faculty ratio, which we really pride ourselves on for an institution of our size, being able to offer a little bit smaller classes, and 64% of our classes have 30 or fewer students. So we want to make sure that you are getting that individualized attention from faculty. So even if you had a larger lecture class, for example, you may end up with other classes later on in your time at Western that have 5 other students if you're taking a seminar, or even if you've got a 60-person lecture your freshman year, say a biology lecture, you may break off into smaller sections for labs during the week. You can see our location in the mountains. We are, if you're interested in anything and everything outdoors, we offer that. We've actually been voted #1 outdoor school by Blue Ridge Outdoors magazine for 5 years. We were voted #1 4 years in a row, and they actually within the past 2 years, they asked us to step back from the competition to give some other institutions an opportunity to win. And then when they let us back in this past year, we won again. So we have an awesome facility, Base Camp Cullowhee, if you're into kayaking, hiking, biking, if you want to go on a one-day rock climbing 101 trip, if you want to go on a skiing trip to nearby Maggie Valley, about a half an hour away. We've got all sorts of outdoors opportunities given our location. We are a more rural school, so it's again, that mix of that sort of smaller school feel, but with all the benefits of being a little bit of a larger university as well. And that's pretty much it about just some quick facts about Western Carolina and who we are. And I am going to go ahead and turn it over to Rachel.
All right. So just to tell you guys a little bit about the University of Mount Olive. If you're not familiar with the university, we're located in the town of Mount Olive, North Carolina. If you look at the graphic there on the bottom of your screen, is about 60 miles east of Raleigh, which is the capital city here in North Carolina, and about 75 miles inland from Wilmington, which is on the coast. So we're kind of halfway between those 2 points. And we are in a more rural setting, a small town setting as well. So we're very much a part of the community that we're in. We offer over 100 different majors, minors, and concentrations here at UMO. So we have the Tillman School of Business. That's the largest school on campus. We also have the School of Agriculture and Biological Sciences. So that includes everything from biology to animal science. We have a pre-veterinary biosciences program and even agricultural education. We also have several education majors in all different subject matter. And those are some of our most popular majors, along with criminal justice and psychology, as well as programs within our rec and leisure studies department. So that would be sports management or exercise science. So there's really something for everyone here at UMO. Our average class size is 18 students. So we really pride ourselves on being able to provide that smaller class size, that one-on-one attention. You really get to know your professors throughout the semester, and they really get to know you as a student, your interests, what you're involved in, what your goals are ultimately outside of school or even graduating, which is ultimately why you're here, so that you can be successful after you leave. So we have about 46% of our student body are male compared to 54% female. So we're about almost 50-50 there. And about 24% of our student body are first generation college students. So they're the first person in their family to go to college. So maybe you're the first person in your family looking at college, so don't let that scare you. We have a lot of resources for our students. Of course, we want you to be successful and want you to come to UMO, but we ultimately want you to be able to be successful while you're here so that you can leave UMO. Now, 44% of our student body are student athletes. So we'll talk about this a little bit more when we look at the differences between the NCAA divisions, but that is a large part of our student base, which means that as a student athlete at UMO, you're definitely not alone in your experience. Our faculty and staff are very understanding of the demands on your time as a student athlete, and also are really able to work with students, like I said, one-on-one, and helping you balance your academic needs also with the demands on your time for being an athlete. We do have 30 different countries represented currently on campus, many of them athletes here on campus as well, but even though we are located in a smaller, more rural setting, you'll definitely meet people from around the world. So we have a very diverse student body, and it really just creates a very unique community here in Mount Olive. And over 90% of our students receive financial aid. So although we are a private institution, we pride ourselves on being one of the most affordable private colleges and universities in North Carolina. So don't let that word private scare you. We are a small faith-based private institution. We're rooted in the liberal arts tradition. So we have a lot of options for students who are looking for a variety of majors or fields of study, but looking for that more personalized experience. As far as our admissions requirements, we do rolling admissions. We are this year actually going to be test optional. So if you're interested in that, definitely take a look at our website. And if you have any specific questions about UMO, feel free to drop those in the Q&A as well. But I'm going to go ahead and turn this back over to Ryan, and he's going to tell us more about William Peace.
All right, thanks a lot, Rachel. I do apologize for switching over. I accidentally stumbled across on the different buttons, so I apologize for that. So a little bit about William Peace University. We're located in downtown Raleigh, about 2 blocks away from the state capitol. We have undergone some changes. So 8 years ago, we were an all-women's college. Despite that fact, we're at about 52% female to 48% male. So we really balanced out quite quickly. We focus on immersive learning for all of our students, which is basically meaning we get all of our students out into different things. Our biology students will go and work in Crabtree Creek. Our students in sports and fitness studies will be working in the weight room, in the athletic training rooms, whatever their fancy is. Leading into that, all of our students, complete an internship, and that really helps our students obtain different jobs. I believe 96% of our students in the last graduating class obtained a job or a internship or a graduate assistantship within a year after graduation. So it's something we really care about. We are a smaller college, less than 1,000 students. So with that, we do have a 13-to-1 student faculty ratio, which we really pride ourselves on. This allows all of our students to really get to know our faculty. If they ever have help, they're able to talk with them. And it also allows our faculty to be so committed to what classes they teach. I always bring up when I talked with one biology professor, afterwards, I wanted to be a biology major after talking with her. That's how special she is and how committed she is to the students. With that small student to faculty ratio, we have an average class size of 16. Unlike Western Carolina or Mount Olive, we have 27 majors to choose from, but we have a lot of concentrations in those majors. And it's one of those things where you let us know what you want to study, what you want to obtain out of college, and we're there to help you out. We have sport management in our business administration program. We have simulation and game design. I already mentioned sport and fitness studies. We also have exercise and fitness science. So there's a lot of different ways you can go. We've got a theater program. It's all about what you want to do. And then I put this last thing in, which is really important, is that nearly all of our students receive a merit scholarship. I would say probably about over 99% of our students currently at William Peace University receive a merit scholarship. Like Mount Olive, we are rolling admissions. but we also do a holistic approach. So this year we have instituted a test optional approach, which we plan on using in the future as well to really keep that holistic thought process in our admissions work. We want to know more about you as a student. We know that getting to take a test might be difficult especially this year. And so we really want to see what you can do, how you are as a person and not as a number. Especially with this 13-to-1 student faculty ratio, you really aren't a number, you're a person, and you're always going to be looked at and helped out whenever you need it. So that's a little bit about William Peace University. At the end of our presentation, we're going to have a slide with the contact information of myself, Susie, and Rachel, and it'll also be the days and the times of our university's info section. So these are just brief captions of what of our universities that will provide you more information on that. So I'm going to kick it over to Susie to talk a little bit more about the Division I process and Western Carolina athletics as well.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. So Western Carolina is part of the Division I Southern Conference. So Division I athletics, just to give you a little bit more information about what it is, and then I'll talk a little bit about WCU specific programs and just steps if you're considering applying as a student athlete. So Division I is generally going to be your schools that are on the larger side, with larger athletics programs. There are 350 schools that are Division I with over 6,000 teams and 170,000 student athletes. So lots and lots of student athletes in Division I. And there are different conferences and school sizes within D1. So we are the Southern Conference. If you go to the SoCon website, you can see some of the other schools that WCU will play against in that conference. Occasionally we'll play games outside of our conference, maybe play some larger schools, maybe play some smaller schools. Occasionally we'll play some D2 schools, and Rachel's going to talk about D2 in a few minutes, but generally it is going to be the larger schools. For D1 athletics, there are some scholarships available for student athletes. So there's full scholarships, there are partial scholarships, and there is also the possibility to walk on as a student athlete. Generally, if you are receiving an athletic scholarship, you've been recruited, typically maybe a little bit earlier in your high school career by a coach, but it could potentially happen a little bit later, maybe sophomore, junior year. And if you if you're, for example, a senior who is interested in potentially playing D1 athletics, we do also have, if you haven't been specifically talking to coaches just yet, we do have an interest form on our website, and I've got the Catamount Sports link on there. Catamountsports.com is WCU's athletics website. It is still possible you can reach out to the team, express interest in the team. We do take a small number of walk-ons for certain sports. So there is a process for Division I for recruiting student athletes, and there are some scholarships available as well at that level. A few things just to be aware of if you are interested in applying D1, you do need to make sure that you are eligible, NCAA eligible with your high school academics. And this is something that you can mention to your high school counselor, say I'm thinking of playing this sport or that sport in college, and I want to make sure I'm NCAA eligible. There is an NCAA website, eligibilitycenter.org, where you can actually sign up, and you can also see some more information about what it means to be eligible, what high school classes you need to make sure you're taking. We have an athletics department here too that makes sure that students are eligible coming in and that you remain eligible academically when you are competing as a student athlete at the Division I level. And there are certain requirements and certain commitments that go with being a Division I athlete and with being a student athlete in general, in terms of the amount of things that you're devoting your time to, whether that is practice, whether that is competition, whether that's training, with our coaches, with our athletic trainers. There are sometimes, structured study times in certain situations, and there's tutoring available. There's a lot of academic support too, which Rachel had also mentioned a little bit, that importance of having that academic support as a student athlete in terms of balancing your athletic commitments and your academic commitments. So we have athletics academic advisors at WCU as well. Just a few other quick facts about Western's athletics program before I turn it over to Rachel. You can see there the list of sports that we offer, men's and women's. Those are Division I varsity sports. Again, we're part of the Southern Conference. And then I've got on the right-hand side there just a couple of recent achievements. We were the 2019 men's SoCon champions in track and field, which was very cool. We were very proud of our team with that. And then most recently this past spring, we had 60 student athletes named SoCon's academic all-conference team. So again, academics and making sure that our student athletes are supported and maintaining strong academics, and also maintaining NCAA eligibility is really important to us, of course. And there are also, with students who are offered a Division I athletics scholarship, whether full or partial, there are also academic stipulations that are tied with that. So that's something just important to remember as you're considering schools, as you're looking into the possibility of potentially playing at the D1 level, whether you've been recruited or whether you are potentially, expressing some interests, if you're a junior or very early in your senior year and you're possibly interested in going on to be considered as maybe a walk-on with certain schools. Definitely keep all of that in mind. You are going to have to make sure you're maintaining eligibility. And then last thing I want to super quickly mention is student athletes. Typically when you are recruited and you decide on a school, you sign something called a national letter of intent. Once you sign that letter with a particular school, you commit to, basically you agree to attend that school for a year, and you're not able to sign or be recruited by another school after that point, after you sign. So these are all just kind of factors that you should just be thinking about if you're seriously considering becoming a student athlete in college and at the D1 level. And with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Rachel to talk about Division II.
All right, thank you, Susie. So I'll kind of follow in your format. We can talk a little bit about specifically NCAA Division II, and then just a little bit about UMO sports specifically. So there are a lot of similarities between D1 and D2 as far as recruitment and commitments. We do our coaches do actively recruit. However, there is the possibility for students to try out or walk on for some teams. Typically it is team specific. So if you are in your senior year right now and you know that you're interested in playing a sport at a D2 school, but you haven't been in contact with the coaches, now's the time to go to their athletic websites and to fill out those recruitment forms and to get in contact with those coaches and get your name out there. It's definitely not too late, and you don't have to wait for them to reach out to you. You can put yourself out there as well. So know that those opportunities are available. So more specifically to the Division II schools, we do have more than 300 colleges and universities in our division. We're located throughout 45 different states, and we're actually the only division that's international. So we have Division II schools in both Canada and Puerto Rico. 87% of the Division II schools have fewer than 8,000 students. The maximum school size within Division II is 25,000, but most of us, like I said, are under 8,000. Division II operates on what's called the partial scholarship model, which means that there is a mix of athletic funding as well as academic aid, need-based funding. So you have probably heard through FAFSA, that would be need-based, and then also maybe on-campus employment. So student work things like that. So essentially half of your funding or more than half could come from an athletic scholarship, but you would also be eligible for merit-based scholarships through the school, which we do offer as part of our admissions process. And I know Ryan mentioned that as well. So that's one of the key tenets of D2. We're the only conference that operates as national championship festivals, which are actually Olympic style events where multiple national championships take place over a couple of days at the same site. And a lot of times students are wondering, you know, well, if I go to a D2 school, am I going to be on TV? And the answer is yes. We actually, our men's basketball team was on Sports Center's top 10 this past year. That was a very exciting time for us. We made the top 10. But since 2006, men's and women's basketball championships and football have been broadcast nationally, as well as most national championships. So you can be on TV. And then, as I mentioned, 44% of our student body are student athletes. So student athletes comprise a high percentage of our student body. Athletics is huge at UMO, but that means that it's an integral part of our academics as well. So Division II focuses on something that we call life in the balance, and it's more about that balance of your academics as well as your athletics. You know, many students, not that you won't go on to become a professional athlete, but you're usually coming because you love to play your sport, but you're looking to go on into your career after college. And so it's about having that support for you here as a student so that you'll be successful in your career and in your goals once you graduate. So those are kind of the key differences between D1 and D2. Ryan will talk a little bit more about D3 in just a minute, but just to brag on UMO here for just a second. We do have 22 different sports on our campus. And like I said, we are Division II. Our most recent sports are women's field hockey and men's wrestling. Now, of course, all of our seasons were cut short last year due to COVID, unfortunately. So we do have a few stats, though, that you can read there. We have some Hahn Cup winners. We have an academic All-American from last year. We had 5 teams nationally ranked. 2 of our teams represented us in the NCAA Division II championships last year, last fall. We had 2 Conference Carolina Elite 23 award winners, and we had 3 Conference Carolina Player of the Year awards. So that was all just last year. And in 2008, UMO baseball team did win our very first national championship. So we're very proud of our sports teams, and go Trojans. All right, Ryan, I'll pass the baton to you.
Thanks so much, Rachel. I appreciate you passing it on. And I'll follow the same format that Rachel and Susie have talked about, you know, starting off talking about Division III. As Division III is very different athletically than Division I and Division II. So as you'll see, we have 446 institutions, and it is by far the largest of the 3 divisions. And the institutions in Division III, they differ in sizes and types, and they're primarily in the Eastern and Central time zones in the United States. So there's a couple in the mountain. I literally think there might be 1 at this point, with 1 athletic program being stopped, and then there's a few on the West Coast, but primarily it's going to be East Coast and Central time zone universities and colleges. These sizes, you know, I'll bring us up again. We're under 1,000 students. We might play Christopher Newport University, which is a public university in Virginia, which has close to 5,000 students. So it ranges, and these different sizes and types of institutions also differ in how they recruit. And I'll get to that in a little bit. The one biggest difference between us and, you know, Mount Olive or Western Carolina is we do not offer any athletic scholarships. So as I said earlier, we give merit scholarships to most of our students that come to William Peace University. So this will not affect your merit scholarship will not affect your status on the team. I had one student athlete that I recruited this past year. She asked me if the season is canceled, as it was for or was postponed for volleyball. She said, would she lose her merit scholarship? And I said, no, your merit scholarship has nothing to do. So that's something that's different. You will not have to enroll in the NCAA clearinghouse to see if you are eligible. It's all about keeping up your grades. And much like Western Carolina and Mount Olive, there are lots of resources to help student athletes out. You know, we have over 35% of our population is student athletes. So they're working with advisors, they're working with their professors, student helpers, other peer mentors on their academics. And most of our teams run study halls with freshmen being required to attend. And then if you achieve a certain GPA, you get out of it. So most of our upperclassmen are out of that. So that's a big thing. Now moving on to the recruiting and how it differs greatly depending on the school and the sport as well. So if you're looking to go to one of the the top academic schools in the country, so think of your Williams or Amherst up in Massachusetts. Those schools, they do a lot of early action, early decisions. So their teams are generally set by December 1st of that year. Other schools, a lot of the private schools in North Carolina, so us, Greensboro College, Methodist University, North Carolina Wesleyan College, we're recruiting throughout the year. A lot of us are rolling admissions, so obviously the coaches are recruiting ahead of time, but like Susie and Rachel said, if you go to our website, gopeacepacers.com, and you reach out to a coach, they'd be happy to hear from you. If they haven't talked with you yet and you're interested, you have to go out and let them know that you're interested. Or have your coach help you out. Have your club coach help you out. Have them reach out to the coach and say, hey, we're interested. We'd really like to, try and get on this team. We do have walk-ons, but a lot of our players are recruited throughout. And it also depends on the sport. Some of our teams, our men's basketball team, it's pretty much all recruited. We do have a walk-on here and there. Some of our other teams, they take a few more walk-ons. So our baseball team is a larger team, and there is a developmental team as well. So you might be able to try out for that. So that's a little bit about Division III. Talk about William Peace Athletics. There are 18 teams, and we compete in the USA South Athletic Conference. An interesting fact about the USA South Athletic Conference, it's the largest conference in terms of institution numbers in all of the NCAA. We have 20 institutions, and we're about to take on a new one in Southern Virginia next year. So we're spread out from Virginia all the way to Alabama, to Kentucky, parts of Tennessee as well. So in Georgia, we're a very large conference. It is split by divisions. As you'll see, our women's basketball team won the 2020 East Division, and it allowed them to earn an at-large to the NCAA Division III tournament. That was really impressive. We're really proud of that because our, in Division III, they take only 64 teams. There's 44 at conference automatic qualifiers. And so getting one of the 20 at-large bids is very impressive for our team. To show about our academics and how we really do care, we had 84 student athletes named to the USA South All-Academic team this past year, which I think is even more impressive with what happened at the end of the school year, that all of our students really stayed on top of their academics. They met with coaches, and they met with their advisors, they met with their professors to really stay on top of things. That is one of the biggest things I'll say about Division III is we want to prepare you not to play professionally. I went to a Division III university. I had a teammate that played and still plays professional basketball in Mexico. But the goal is to prepare you for life beyond athletics. We know you love athletics. We want to give you the best athletics experience possible, but it's more about the student. The student comes first, and that's why you'll always see student athlete. So that's a little bit about Division III and Pacer athletics. So now we'll move on to the questions. So any questions? I see we got one already. I'll take this if no one minds. If I'm a junior in high school, should I start building my recruitment profile now? And how can I get exposure? This one is a little bit different than in previous years. Previous years, you were probably going to club tournaments, and maybe you still are, but the club tournaments are definitely down. AU basketball did not happen this past summer, which is a detriment to both coaches and the students. But one of the best things you can do is start looking at colleges, talk with your coaches, and see where they think you'd be a good fit. And then start reaching out to colleges. Look at what interests you at those colleges and kind of, get recruitment videos, send them to coaches. Those are really some good ways and good steps to take. Hey, Susie, Rachel, would you guys like to add to that?
Sure. I'll also just add the other thing to make sure you do, if I had mentioned the NCAA eligibility, if you're interested in D1 or D2, make sure you register with the NCAA Eligibility Center and talk to your high school counselor about that. Chat with your coaches too at high school, just to see, again, as Ryan said, if they have any advice in that regard as well. But making sure that you're NCAA eligible too is also a key step. Just making sure, especially as a junior, that you're going to be eligible and you can kind of plan ahead for the classes you'll still need to take senior year for that eligibility.
And I would just say too, on the admissions side of things, as a junior, it's a great time to go visit schools. So if there are certain schools that you might be interested in playing for, set up a visit to go tour campus, talk with the admissions office. Even if you're not going on a visit, as a potential athlete, it's still important to know if that school would be a good fit for you. So definitely I would encourage you to take a look at that, make sure that the school offers the academic programs that you're interested in as well.
Yeah, and going off of that, I know a lot of smaller schools, we offer it. If you schedule an on-campus visit, you can say, I'd like to meet with this coach. So that's a great thing to do. I don't know if Western Carolina or probably, your UNCs, your Dukes, they probably won't offer that option, but, the smaller schools will definitely try and help you out and get that meeting. Any other questions? Anything else we can help you out with in terms of athletics or the admissions process or anything like that? We know this has been a very stressful time for everybody. And we want to do the most we can to help you out in this time.
Okay. It sounds like there aren't any more questions. Ryan, did you have a screen? Perfect.
Yep. And this can help you out. I made sure I put all our individual times up for the info session. So if you're interested in one of our universities, please feel free to sign up and check us out.
Well, I'll dive into the different university information. So today we just kind of gave a brief overview of our universities, but we're all going to talk a little bit more in depth about the admissions process and student life on campus, so that if you're interested in any one of our schools, please, feel free to attend that. And if you have questions about admissions or athletics, please feel free to contact us and we'd be happy to help.
Okay, as we wrap things up, I'm going to leave their contact information actually up here on the screen. When you leave this window, there will be a quick survey that you'll be invited to take, and we really do appreciate your feedback on that. In addition, check out the CACRAO.org website for additional sessions that you can register for. You can register for these individual sessions from Western, Mount Olive, and Peace, but you can also find lots of other informational sessions happening for the rest of this week and into the beginning of October. So we encourage you to visit the website and check that out. So until then, we wish you the best as you pursue your college search and explore further athletics. So, all right, thank you so much, everyone, for being here.